By the way, I'm wearing these gloves just because I don't like to touch any of my face products with dirty hands, so I washed my hands. Hello! It is covered in both tinted and white sunscreen right now, so you may not be able to see it that well, but I have a scar that is about 8.5 years old on my forehead. And after seeing a recent video by the dermatologist known as Dr. Dray on YouTube, I decided to start treating it using silicone scar patches as well as silicone scar gel. I usually use the patches during the day and then the gel at night because I feel that the patches are more occlusive and therefore more effective. Also because it has the side benefit of keeping me from wrinkling this side of my forehead quite as much, which I have a tendency to do, especially when I'm on my computer. I think this eye might be weaker, or maybe it's just because I usually have my computer off to this side of me. I'm not sure. But anyways, when I'm sleeping, they always come off. So I use the gel at night. Now, here's the problem. We all know, or hopefully we all know, that sun protection is extremely important. And silicone scar patch is made of a loosely woven, thin, light-colored fabric, and so it's not likely to offer very much UV protection. Sun protection is especially important for scar recovery because the UV radiation can actually interfere with the wound healing process. That creates an issue though, because with the silicone scar patches, if you apply your sunscreen underneath it may interfere with the action or even the adhesion of the patch itself. And obviously, if you try to put the sunscreen on top of the patch, it's not going to be able to form the film that is necessary for a sunscreen to work properly. By the way, I'm wearing these gloves just because I don't like to touch any of my face products with dirty hands, so I washed my hands. So while I'm touching my computer keys and all that, I have these gloves on, and then I'll take them off to actually show you the products. So what are our options for UV protection? I was racking my brain for solutions. I thought, well, I could use fabric, UV protective fabric, to cover the patch with. Now, UPF rated fabric is generally expensive and slightly harder to find, so I didn't even bother trying to find UPF rated fabric that I could peel and stick on to the back of the silicone patch. So what I did instead was I thought, well, what are the properties that make ordinary fabrics more protective against UV rays? Generally, you want synthetic fabrics that have tight weaves and are darkly pigmented. Luckily, I was able to find a product that is black polyester, which is really the ideal fabric if you can't find something that has an explicit UPF rating. Because I am poor, I went with the cheapest option that fit all of my criteria, and that was, and I'll link the specific products in the comments. I'm not affiliated or anything, but just so that you can have the specifics, I'll link it down below. On the package, it says Velcro brand, sticky back for fabrics, peel and stick for a permanent bond. One roll, 24" by 3/4 inch. So it comes in these rolls of what I'm going to call tape. So you have the fabric, and then you have the adhesive backing. Obviously, having Velcro on the other side isn't ideal depending on where your scar is located, but luckily this Velcro is not it's not prickly or hard, so it's not uncomfortable to the touch. And although I usually wear my bangs over to this side, they haven't gotten caught yet, so fingers crossed on that. since it was only $6.98, I decided that this was the best option for me. Now, because of the size of my scar, I'm actually using, I believe it's a half of a Scar Away Scar Patch. I believe it's a half of a Scar Away Scar Patch. I'll correct myself in the description if it's actually a quarter. It's either a half or a quarter. But this is the size of silicone scar patch that I'm using. And thankfully, the width of this tape is approximately 1/2 the width of the patch. So what I did was stick it over, and then I used regular scissors just to cut it so that I had a strip that was covering half the patch, and then I repeated that so that I was covering the other half of the patch, and I ended up with a full covering of black polyester on the other side of my silicone scar patch. And it was a simple peel and stick, so I just peeled it off that white backing and then stuck it onto the back of the silicone scar patch. The question then became, would this actually stick on my forehead? Because the additional fabric may or may not add enough weight that the adhesive of the silicone patch can't hold it. Each of these, I'm using Scar Away scar patches just because they were what was available at my local Walmart for a reasonable price. These patches say that they're good for about 2 weeks, suggesting that the adhesive it should be expected to wear out at about the 2-week mark. This particular patch is over 2 weeks old. I wasn't expecting it to do that great a job of holding, but this actually stayed on most of the day, through a physical therapy appointment, through a clothing change, and it only came off later when I was changing up for my workout and I got the head hole of my shirt a little bit too close to the patch and it pulled it off. Obviously, I'm not going to put something right back on my face after it falls on the floor, so I decided that that would be it for the day. The Scar Away silicone gel patches are supposed to be washed every night, washed with soap and water every night anyway, and luckily the polyester is also washable. So I just washed the entire thing together and then let it air dry, and I think that somehow wetting them together and then having them dry together somehow strengthened the bond, because I put it on this morning just to test and it actually felt more secure than it did yesterday. I took it off just because I didn't want to look silly for this video because it does make you look a little bit silly. I will provide an update in the description box when I have tested out a new silicone, a fresh silicone patch for a full 2-week period using this polyester stick-on method, and I will report to you on how that goes. I have very high hopes given what it felt like this morning and also how well it did yesterday with a patch that is over 2 weeks old. So the only drawback, as I mentioned, is that depending on where you have your scar, it can potentially make you look really silly. Since I have my scar right here, obviously it means having a big black patch right here. But that's not too much more ridiculous looking than a large Band-Aid-like patch on my forehead. So I'm good with it. The important thing to me is that my skin is being protected from UV damage and that I'm creating the optimal environment for the scar to become minimized. So if you found this video at all helpful, please do give it a like. And if you happen to have any connections with Dr. Dray, definitely share this with her because I would love to hear her thoughts about my strategy. She didn't really touch on the topic of sun protection in regards to scar patches, which is a little bit out of character for Dr. Dray. I have a feeling she's going to appreciate my ingenuity, but I would love to find out if maybe she has an even better suggestion or any critiques of my particular method. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe if you're feeling inclined. Feel free to drop a comment below, and have a great day.